Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm gonna do a reading journal update for February, and I'm doing things a little bit differently. So this year I decided that I was going to attempt to do the one review per book, but in a much simpler format where I just have it broken down like this, and really making the best attempt I can to stay on top of Goodreads reviews. And most of these from January I filmed for Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, and then never got around to sharing them. So I figured this month I will go ahead and share these with you guys and how I put them together and my thoughts on the various books. And hopefully you guys enjoy that. I'm excited to try it out and see what you guys think of it. And also just show you how this journal is going and how my new format is working. So in this video, you will see me do all of these reviews plus these two. And then in the next video that I have for my reading journal, I will do a review of this book. It was the favorite of the month. Plus, I have a really special reading collage that I wanted to add some scrapbooking stamps, and I thought that'd be really fun because I have an extra page before March. And I also printed out one for January, so I can do some stamps, add in paper if I want, but that'll be for another video. So I hope you guys are excited. And another thing that I wanted to show you was kind of like the books that I have upcoming. So right now I'm reading this book, and so I saw the character Adunia, I think that's how you say her name, but Adunni. She is one of my all-time favorite characters, and she is back in this book, and I am just loving it. My daughter recently read this book and said it was the best of the entire series and says that I need to read it. So I'm hoping to read this one after And So I Roar. So very excited to read this and just see what my thoughts are on the book and share it with my daughter. Also just picked up this one, which I love B.K. Borison. She's absolutely amazing. She does the Love Light Farm series, and that was an all-time favorite series. So very, very excited to read this one. Also have Ali Hazelwood Deep End, which I lost out on this book at the library, but now I have it back. And so I'm excited to see this book and what all the buzz is about this book. I don't remember how I stumbled on this book, but I have renewed it twice and I just have not gotten to it yet. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I can't decide. Now this one I believe is for the challenge that I have in here from the Book Girls challenges. I think it is, let me get it. I think it is characters becoming part of a story, I think. But either way, I'm pretty sure this is for one of the challenges. So it sounded like a quirky, interesting type of book. So looking forward to reading this one as well. Hoping for a really good month with reading since I have spring break. So just wanted to show you those. I am excited for this new format for my reading journal video and also how I'm putting together these pages. I really hope that you guys enjoy, and I will go ahead and switch over to voiceover. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good day.
The first step for me is obviously grabbing that tray of books that I have. I tried to die cut the books a little more often than, say once a month, because it's a lot of work to like die cut all the words and then also, die cut all the covers plus for all the challenges. The second step is grabbing my iPad and loading up my Goodreads page along with my book reviews. Now I may switch to clear sticker paper printing for my book reviews just to make this even quicker. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. With my Sharpie pen that I use, I feel like it gets dull very quickly and the pen like scrapes on the pages. It's really weird, but it is an awful sound. And also, even beyond that, I write a lot for my reviews, and I have to like scrunch everything in and condense and take everything out. So I'm contemplating doing sticker paper. I don't know. I'd love your thoughts, you guys. I just can't make this decision whether I should switch to sticker paper. Right now, I have adhered the first 7 books. I missed one of the books, which you can see I have like a blank white cover. It's the 3rd one down on the left. I don't know how I missed cutting a book, but I did. And I stamped the my rating, and now I'm drawing the line, because along with the my rating, I like to include the genres and then what the book number is out of my yearly goal, which is 110. So once I have those pieces, I can go ahead and start writing. The first book was Lost and Lassoed. It is the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series taking place in Wyoming. It's Gus and Teddy's story, and I absolutely loved this one. I've been waiting and waiting to hear their story. They've had great chemistry and banter between each other, and now with this kind of forced proximity and Gus needing Teddy's help during the summer, they come together and it is awesome, and they finally realize how much they mean to each other. And I loved it. I think I read it in 2 days flat. It just was that good. Love this series. So for genres, I picked enemies to lovers, westerns, and romance. The next book was a recommendation for the 15 books for 15 friends. I upped it this year. And I listened to this on audio because my friend Jenny McGarvey, she suggested this book, and she's a prolific reader, and I knew that this book would be pretty good. And overall, I think the book was pretty good. Again, it's called When the World Tips Over. So that's what the book is called, and I listened to it on audio like Jenny recommended, but goodness gracious, it is a convoluted book full of all kinds of things. It's like a spider web with so many different storylines going on. It's almost like if you're not paying attention to every detail, you could potentially miss something. The story is about the Fall family and how each of them intersect for good and bad, and also how they have a connection to the mysterious Cassidy. She has a lot of stories to tell and really draws you in with this complicated book of family, found family, grief, love, consequences, and growing up. And again, I had a lot more to say on my Goodreads book review because this was convoluted. I know I already said that word, but that is the word for this book. It was just, wow. It was definitely interesting. I'm not sure if it was a favorite book, but it really got me thinking as far as like picking up on all the details and how you do one thing and that action can have a lot of long-lasting consequences. So the genres: young adult, magical realism, and fantasy. And then I will skip the next one, which I was going to put in the Assassin's Guide to Babysitting, but I decided not to, and I will explain that in a little bit. The other thing that I'm going to fill out in this video is the first lines, which is where I take the first line of each book and write it down. I don't think I'm going to read most of them to you, but I just wanted to mention it. Sometimes it is tricky to remember to write down the first lines. I keep a running list in my notes section, but what helps me is to go into my library's app system. I use the Libby app, and I can read a sample of the book. And just reading a sample of the book allows me to get the first line, especially with audiobooks, because sometimes I write it down, sometimes I don't, because it's really hard and tricky to try to figure out what the first sentence is in an audio. I just finished wrapping up the first 2 lines for Lost and Lassoed and When the World Tips Over, which the first line in that book was like, I don't even know, 30 words long. It was such a long sentence, and it had to do again with Cassidy and then one of the Fall family members named Dizzy. So definitely a book I would recommend, but I can't tell you if it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. Now, my third book is called Shipwrecked at the Bottom of the World. I think I was looking for books that were great on audio, and I stumbled on this book, which is one of the reasons I love nonfiction, is stumbling onto things I would have never read about or known about. But this was about Captain Shackleton's voyage to the South Pole in 1905, and through unimaginable odds, Shackleton and his entire crew survived a 19-month ordeal, escaping their ship when it became ice-locked and sunk, and then they had to get out of the ship and make their way across the South Pole to basically safety. To where a port was, I think. And it was amazing. It was such an interesting story of how these men just made it through one of the harshest conditions or harshest areas in the entire planet. And it was just so cool to listen to this memoir and just stumble upon it. I loved it. The next one that I read was a continuation of a series. It's a second one. It's like a romance fantasy set in kind of a sci-fi world. It was called The Undermining of Tallulah. I can't say her name to save my life, but her name is Twyla, Tallulah and Frank. And I really appreciated the fact that there was middle-aged characters and it was a romance. What I did not like and what kind of threw me off for the entire book was that the main character, she kept complaining about herself and how, she kept putting herself down over and over. And I just lost track after like 5, 6, 7 times. I was just over it. I felt like as a character, the way that her job was presented, the way she was presented, she should have a lot more confidence, but she didn't. And so it kind of took away from the story for me. And her next door neighbor is Frank. They've been friends for 15 years. Obviously, there's sparks there, and everything changes when they find a body covered in slime. The book goes from there, and it has dragons and villains and mining, near-death experiences, and through all of it, Tallulah and Frank come together and realize how much they really mean to each other. And so overall, I liked the book, not as good as the first one, which was like The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I think that was the first book. So that one I really enjoyed. And that one, again, this series just combines a lot of different genres, and you're kind of like thrown for a loop being placed into this fantasy world. But overall, I'm enjoying the series. I just hope the third one is better and not a lot of complaining from the female character. We don't need that on our books. At least I don't think we do. All right, this next book is a nonfiction about productivity, and it's by Kendra Adachi. I think this is her second book, and she blew me away by starting the book saying that 93% of books about productivity are written by men, and she says none of them take into account the women's fluctuating cycle or that household management, a lot of it falls to women. And for me, that was kind of a light bulb kind of moment. Maybe because I've been listening to menopause books and women's health books, but it was definitely like a game changer for me. I think productivity, especially for women, you really got to embrace your cycle and the season that you're in. And that's another thing that Adachi really hones in on, is that you need to be in the season that you're in right now, dealing with the circumstances that you have right now and your energy level and where you're at for the month, and go forward from there. So I really, really enjoyed her book. I loved it. I may even buy a physical copy just so I can highlight some different sections. So I'm not done with my first set of reviews, but I think my page got turned. So I started gluing down the 3 Lives of Kate Kay, and then realized I had to go back. So I want to finish up Beg, Borrow, or Steal, which is by Sarah Adams. It is the third book in the series, and I'm really enjoying learning about how the Walker family are finding their happily ever after. This is the story of Emily, who's a second grade teacher and really for what she's going through, she just has to have things her way. And this is why her nemesis, Jack Bennett, has challenged her for years. And now, through forced proximity, one of my favorite tropes, I think, they are going to be neighbors right next door to each other and also colleagues. And through this, the shenanigans and the animosity come together in this really sweet, heartwarming novel, and I really enjoyed it. Not my favorite of the series, but definitely a good book overall. But not my favorite, like I said, but I still am really loving this series. The last book on this page is I forget the title, but it's Lauren Graham's book, Talking as Fast as I Can. I really enjoyed listening to her and how much she loves acting. You can totally tell she loves acting. She really felt blessed to have the Gilmore Girls show, and how she knew how special it was when she was making it, and the reboot. And it was just an overall enjoyable memoir to listen to. I have to admit, I've never watched the Gilmore Girls. I always meant to, especially since I watched a lot of CW shows like Seventh Heaven, but I never got around to Gilmore Girls. Now I do want to try to watch the Gilmore Girls because, yeah, I've always been meaning to watch the Gilmore Girls and I've just never gotten around to it. Okay, so over in this blank spot was supposed to be the Assassin's Guide to Babysitting, but I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to add some paper in there and maybe some pink embellishments, like basically a pink block since it's February, and just try it out and see if I like it. Now, I do like it. The only thing I'm worried about is how thick this book is going to get at the end of the year. I don't know if the binding is going to fail or not fail, but for now, I added in this little library card on the left, a clear sticker, half a flower, and then a die cut that says bookmark. All of these pieces were in my stash, in my printable system that I have set up, and the collection is from the Cut Shop. I will link it in the description box. So on this next page, I am going to do 2 book reviews because I only read 10 books in February, and I have my monthly sections set up to do a total of 16 or 20 books. So I had extra space. Okay, let's talk about The 3 Lives of KK, because that is another book, not convoluted, but reading the synopsis doesn't give you any idea about what this book is about, like nothing. So you just dive into this book, and it was certainly not what I was expecting, but it was still a pretty decent book. I enjoyed it. Was I frustrated with the characters? Yes. Did I find the characters infuriating? Yes. And did they have to learn some really hard lessons about life, especially the main character, Kate K? Yes, absolutely. So Kate K is the main character. She has a best friend named Amanda, and they are on the cusp of setting out into the world, and something horrific happens, and it forever alters Kate K's life, and that's when things take off. And it's the way that it's written, it's almost written as if it was a memoir, but obviously it's not. It's fiction. Overall, a very interesting book, and not what I was expecting based off of the synopsis, but I still gave it like a 4.25. Now, for the last few sections, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be fun to cover them up with paper and make it really decorative? Do I think that I'll do this going forward? I'm not sure. Again, I don't know about how well the binding will hold up, and also, I don't know. Do I want to save time? I haven't decided yet, but it was really fun to add in this paper, the vellum, the tag, and the flower. It was so fun. And then later on, when I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to do a review for the Assassin book, the Assassin Guides to Babysitting. It's a mouthful to say. Instead of doing that book, I'm going to do Pictures of You. I'm going to have to chop down this paper in a little bit. You can see here, I'm already looking at it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that's worried about it. I also took a break from writing out my reviews to start on the pictures of you and how I want it to look. So you get a sneak peek of that. I have a lot of thoughts for pictures of you. So I hope you guys tune in next week to see that video. So I used my X-Acto knife very clumsily and very awful. Either way, it was terrible, and I was ripping things, and I think I even ripped the dot grid paper, but I got it cut off so that way I could add in the review for this book. It's a young adult teen book. Again, one of those books that I don't remember how in the world I found out about it, but I did, and it totally surprised me. I was in a reading slump, but this just really pulled me out of it. I loved it. It may not be for everybody, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is about a girl who has some special abilities, and one of these abilities, it's called the talents. She's a Baston. And it is highly, highly dangerous and can cause a lot of issues and turn the world upside down. So that's why she's living with her uncle Logan. And again, through a series of events, she winds up relying on her friends and taking care of a baby. So very interesting, action-packed. I loved it. And I could probably see it being like some sort of Netflix series because it was just so good and just had my attention from like the first chapter. So now I'm going to work on my first lines page, and I'm going to go all the way to 19. And when I planned out this page, I actually had enough lines for 35 books, but I'm only going to get to 19 because apparently the books I'm reading have very long lines. I have one that says, like the Lauren Graham memoir, says, if you'd asked me back at the beginning of my career to guess which character I was most likely to return to 15 years after I'd played her for the first time, there would have been only one answer. Like, that's a really long sentence. So I'm having some long lines for my first lines, but I am enjoying having this in here, and it's going to be so unique to see it at the end of the year. I might even do a quote page for 2026 because I do take pictures of quotes that I like in books. So if I could find a way to incorporate that into my reading journal, that would be really fun to include as well. Because right now, I don't know where the quotes are going to go unless I do a separate review like I am for pictures of you. So that is all done, and now I'm going to flip back to February and kind of show you what it looks like. I really hope you guys have enjoyed seeing my reviews and hearing my thoughts. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. All right, have a great day. Bye.